This is a piece called Working the High Mesa, and I just love the whole ethic of a working cowboy, somebody just get a job done. And this is what's called a period piece, where I literally sculpt a certain time window in history. And you can date this piece representing a cowboy, a working cowboy. Actually, they were called cowmen. Cowboy, the word cowboy didn't come along till much later. They would have actually been offended to be called cowboys. That's more of a modern day term. But this cowman, you could date between 1865 and 1875, and there's a couple of hints I'll show you. First off, most of your working cowboys had Stetsons. The Stetsons came out in the late 1870s, about 1879, I believe. This cowboy didn't have a Stetson on. He's just got an old felt floppy hat. And also this rifle I sculpted to be an 1865 Yellow Boy Winchester. That Winchester didn't come out till 1865. So with the rifle coming out in 1865 and the Stetsons coming out in the late 1870s and him not having one, I date this piece between that time period. A couple of interesting things to note on this is a cowboy that's probably working cattle in the fall. He's got his woolly chaps on, and most of your cowboys would not have worn woolly chaps unless it was fairly cool weather. It had just been too uncomfortable anyway else. He's got tapaderos. That tells you that he's probably working some brushy country. Keep the brush and the sticks and twigs and things that are high out of the stirrups. When I was sculpting this piece, I was at a friend's ranch called the High Mesa in Lamy, New Mexico. Country western singers actually by the name of Duke Davis. Duke let me come out on his little ranch there, and he rode his horse up and down, and he talked with me quite a bit about the tack to make sure I got it right. Something that he had on his bridle was what's called slobber leathers. And these slobber leathers were pieces of leather. Instead of a hard iron bit, they were pieces of leather that came off of the bridle, and it just made for a little bit more comfort for the horse. And also, if you'll notice, these are not split reins. This is all one rein on this horse. In fact, the reins come up on both slobber leathers and then come back here and tie on the saddle. That's all one piece of rope. That's called a macate. And it was used quite often by the Indians. And then the Mexicans got it from the Indians, and then the cowboys got it from the Mexicans. Because when the Indians were out on the plains, there was no fences. And the Indians would take the end of this rope and tuck it up underneath their loincloth, the strap that went around their loincloth, and if they fell off in battle, if they fell off during a hunt, a buffalo hunt, if they fell off just because their horse bucked them, it was their lifeline to pull back, reel back in that horse, and then get back on. And quite often in your old-timey pictures and your old-timey paintings, you'll see this macate rope tucked up underneath the belt loop of a pair of chaps on a cowboy. He's got what's called gauntlets on. These are leather gauntlets right here over his wrist going up his arm. And the gauntlets protected that wrist for various reasons. You can't see it very well, but he's got an extra leather tied to the rear end of his pants because he has worn out those pants, and so he's put some extra leather on his rear end. He's riding what's called a double cinch saddle.